everybody, and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. And today I'm going to do another Christmas recipe, which is going to be Panforte di Siena, or Panforte. This is an Italian type of cake made with nuts and usually with candied peel, orange peel and citron, or sometimes lemon peel, or a mixture of all three basically. And it comes in two main varieties. One is known as white and one is known as black. I'm going to do the white one, which is going to have almonds and some hazelnuts. Traditionally it's almonds, but I'm mixing a few hazelnuts in. And the black version is pretty similar, but it has cocoa powder in as well and some white pepper. So for mine, I should explain that I'm doing a fairly basic version, which I think is the traditional way of doing it, but I have seen several recipes where they add a variety of nuts: walnuts, pistachios, hazelnuts, almonds, and they also put in different fruits like dried figs and prunes, and soft dried apricots and things like that. But I'm sticking with what I read was the original way. The only change I'm making is that I'm adding some hazelnuts instead of all almonds. So for the ingredients, I have 320 grams, which is 2 cups of candied peel, and I actually bought candied peel as opposed to chopped mixed peel, and I took 160 grams of candied orange and 160 grams of candied citron and chopped it up. But if you can only buy the chopped mixed peel in your stores, then that's fine, just use that. So that's 320 grams of that, which is 2 cups. And then I have 260 grams, which is about a cup and a third, about 2 cups of nuts, and I've done 1 1/3 cups of almonds with the skins on, and 2/3 of a cup of hazelnuts with the skins off. That's just going to give a bit of variety in how it looks when it's cut, basically, and of course with the flavour. And then I have 160 grams, which is 1 cup plus 2 tablespoons of plain flour. I have 300 grams, which is 1.5 cups of caster sugar. You could use granulated sugar. Then I have 150 grams, which is 1/2 cup of honey. And then for spices, I have 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1/8 teaspoon of ground cloves, 1/8 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and 1/8 teaspoon of ground coriander. And then I also have some icing sugar, which I'm going to sprinkle on the top, maybe about 10 grams before I bake it, and then some more after it's been baked. And so the first thing I'm going to do is put my spices. Oh, did that wrong. So we'll put my spices into the flour and mix it around. That little bit of spice that I've left in the sugar will be fine. And then the next thing I'm going to do is to take the sugar and the honey and put them into a saucepan, and I'm going to heat them until the sugar is dissolved. As I say, I shouldn't have mixed the spice in, so that little bit that's in there will be fine. So I'm just going to put this onto a very gentle heat so that it dissolves and it just about begins to bubble. Now, as that is melting, if it begins to spit and sugar gets attached to the sides, just take a little drop of water on a pastry brush and brush the sides of the saucepan to dissolve that sugar so you don't get any sugar crystals, and that will be fine. So I have my oven preheating at 220 Celsius, that's 430 Fahrenheit, and I have an 8-inch cake tin here, which I've got a loose bottom one, and traditionally you would put some rice paper on the bottom, but today I don't have rice paper, so I've just put some parchment paper on the bottom, and I've buttered the sides of the cake tin as well. So I would peel that off. With rice paper you leave that on once you've baked it, but with this parchment paper I would need to peel that off later. That would be fine. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to put my flour into the nuts, and I'm going to put the peel in as well, and I'm simply going to mix that around until everything is coated. And this is going to be very difficult to work later. It takes a bit of energy, but it will work. So that's fine. So my honey and sugar has melted. What I'm going to do is, it's very hot, so be very careful. I'm going to pour that into the mixture, and then I'm going to stir it and get it all combined. And I'll have to change appliances. I can't use the spatula, it won't work it properly. So a good wooden spoon, or I'm going to use this Dutch whisk. And you want to get everything coated in that syrupy sugar mixture. And that's reasonably well coated, I think. Maybe a few little dry spots, but they will work out as I will show you. So what I need to do is I need to put that into my 8-inch cake tin. That's good enough, I think. And then we need to press that down until it's level all the way across. And for that, to help me with that, I have a bowl of water, and I'm simply going to wet my spoon and press down. Until I've got it level. You can use your hand as well. That's good, that looks reasonably level. So, just going to clean my hand. I'm then going to take some icing sugar and I'm going to sprinkle it over the top. making sure that it's all covered. And then I'm going to put that into the oven and I'm going to bake it for 10 minutes. And after 10 minutes I'm going to take it out and let it cool down just for a few minutes and then take it out of the tin. So I'll be back in about 15 minutes to 20 minutes when we're ready to take it out of the cake tin. So I baked our Panforte for 10 minutes and then I took it out and put it on top of the stove for about 6 minutes, and then I ran a knife round the rim and I tipped it out upside down onto a rack on some paper towel. And the reason for that was so that I could peel off the parchment paper from the bottom, and as I said, usually there would be rice paper which you would leave on, but because there's no rice paper, the bottom of mine now looks like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle that with icing sugar, and the reason for that is to dry the bottom off so that when it's on the plate it won't necessarily stick, because this is very sticky cake. So having done that, I'm going to rub that over like that. And it's still warm. You have to work with this cake while it's warm. If you leave it in the cake tin till it's cold, you'll never get it out if you're not careful. So we'll put some more on like that and just rub that in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that onto a plate. Like that. And there's the top of our cake. And I'm actually going to then put some more icing sugar on the top. And you can put it on the sides as well, so it doesn't matter if it goes over. Then I'm going to leave that to firm up. And when it's firmed up, I will transfer it to another plate and I will come back and we'll cut it and we'll have a taste of it. Well, I let the Panforte cool down and it's firmed up. It's still just a little bit warm. It's just very, very slightly warm. But it's firmed up nicely, and I've cut a slice, rather a large slice. I shouldn't eat that much. So this is what it looks like. So it's full of those lovely nuts, and the aroma that comes off, you can smell the citrus in it. And so I'll have a taste, just a small taste. That really is very, very good indeed. I love the citrus flavour and the nuts and the texture of the nuts and the sweetness of that honey and sugar mixing with the flour to form the sort of thick toffee-like substance. And I can just taste the spices as well. They don't overpower anything. So this is very, very good. As I mentioned, there are versions of this that include cocoa powder and white pepper, and some people chop and change with the fruits that they use, figs, prunes, apricots, things like that. But this one, because of that lovely candied peel, tells me or gives me the feeling of Christmas. So that's going to be it for this recipe. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below the video and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, which will take you to the recipe on my blog, where all the ingredients and everything are listed for you, and the process. And I'll put a link to that below the video as well. I'll also put a link below the video to my Christmas playlist, which is a playlist of all the Christmas type recipes that I've done in the past. And then I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.